Good morning, guys. Happy Saturday morning. It's still pitch black outside, so the other video that I want to make for you, which is going to be outside today, I can't do till the sun comes up. So I thought I'd give you this one first. This one being a little more what to watch out for, what to be aware of. The other one, as usual, a little bit more on how to deal with stuff. So it's no secret that basically forever I've been saying Russia is not the enemy we need to worry about. China is, okay? Unlike the politicians in Washington, who, of course, are still living in the Cold War era and still think, even commented occasionally, that the Soviet Union, which hasn't been around for 30 years, and of course, all getting payola from China. So, they won't say anything, but I will, So if you're familiar with China whatsoever, okay, and if you've ever heard of Gordon Chang, maybe you've seen him occasionally. He will be on Fox or some of the Sunday news shows, whether it's This Week or Meet the Press or whatever. Gordon Chang is probably the preeminent expert on China in the United States. He's an extremely well-educated and smart man. He put an article out a couple of days ago, and I'm going to link it below so you guys can read it. But it basically nails down everything that I've been saying over and over and over again. He just happens to have all the facts where I had my gut. Now, no secret again that the United States economy is in shambles. All right, as of right now, or as of 2022, we've got over $300 trillion in debt, which makes us the official, well, let's put it this way, $30 trillion in official reported numbers, national debt, which makes us the eighth most indebted nation in the world. Of course, that has a lot to do with inflation and everything we are seeing in that. Don't have to tell anybody about that. I think we've beat that horse to death by now. But here's the interesting one. China, officially, their debt is about 54.5% of their GDP. Okay. The United States, we're up something like 123% or 133%, somewhere thereabouts. So we have more debt than the combination of everything that is made in the United States in a year is worth. So just so you have an idea of what GDP is. I mean, that's everything from soup to nuts. Combine it all together, and that's your gross domestic product. Well, China supposedly has, by their official numbers, 54.5%. Except Gordon Chang kind of got into the real numbers, kind of the same ones that we talk about all the time with how far in debt the United States really is. And a lot of us say we're 290 trillion or something like that. Here's what he came up with. China's national debt, including the hidden debt, is 350% of their GDP. China's economy is in shambles, worse than ours. And China still wants to be the reserve currency of the world, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Why? Because that may be a way for Xi Xinping to dig himself out of this hole that the Chinese Communist Party has put themselves into. Now, remember, China is a hardcore communist country. Xi Jinping is dear leader. When he was appointed, if you will, he basically got rid of all the opposition. Okay, there is no other party or anything like that. There is no choice. And so he jailed all his opposition, basically saying he was getting rid of corruption. Okay, it's again, remember, in China, you don't worship the Lord, you worship Xi Jinping. Okay, he is God as far as they are concerned. Beijing added over $1 trillion in debt last month. That's a lot, okay? And now you get to a situation where we've all seen the real estate companies starting to default on loans, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. There just isn't the money for them to pay the bills. Now, I want to give you a scary part and how it affects us. We talk about treasury bonds all the time. One of the largest holders of U.S. treasury bonds is China. Okay? So again, this comes to the point of that is the only thing we have going for ourselves right now, that China doesn't decide a full-fledged attack, because the interest that the U.S. is paying China is the only income for the most part they have. I mean, whatever they get out of production and stuff like that, sure, that goes to companies and then they pay taxes, if you will, however the hell Chinese taxes work, I don't know. But, you figure your iPhone is made in China, Apple is paying the workers and paying the companies. That company has to pay something to the government. I mean, unless the company is completely government owned, Apple's money isn't all going to the government. So China's in a world hurt. Now, where you get into the next part about this is the Chinese are very, very, very anti-American. Far be it from them being supportive of the people of China, being supportive of America, because, hey, if it wasn't for America, you'd still be, eating rice out of a wooden bowl and being a third world country, because the United States getting you into the World Trade Organization, 50 years ago, you were a third world country, and Nixon let you into the world economy, and all of a sudden you're now a economic superpower. Well, the Chinese People's Daily in 2019 declared a people's war on America. And it's ramping up drastically lately, okay? Pick a publication, the Global Times, another CCP mouthpiece for the CCP, okay? Anti-Americanism in China is ridiculously high, and this has been pushed and pushed and pushed for years, and it's really ramped up lately. Why? Because the Chinese government needs the people on their side, okay? Not only because they're demanded to be worshiping the god of Xi Xinping, but they need the people up here to believe it. So however they can coerce them. China is eventually going to need a war, and to basically save their country. Remember, guys, communism has never, ever worked. It's failed every time it's ever been tried. Why? Margaret Thatcher. Eventually you run out of other people's money. 350% of GDP. China's running out of other people's money. Pretty much the only money that China has anymore is coming from the West. I mean, obviously the U.S. isn't the only country that imports stuff from China. But start putting the puzzle pieces together. China's building up their military at a drastic pace. China is hoarding food at a drastic pace. China is fighting tooth and nail from exporting anything to the United States. They're importing our food. They're buying our land. They're buying our companies. I mean, literally, guys, think about this. They're buying the land next door to you or the company in your town with your money. That's how foolish our politicians are. They're giving your tax dollars to China so they can spend it on stupid stuff. And China is coming around and planning a war. Now remember, China's a very patient nation. Okay. They don't, where Joe is going, oh my God, Russia's going to attack Ukraine in the next 24 hours. China sits back and goes, we'll get it done. It may be in the next 3 years, but we'll do it. This is what to watch for. Like I said, I'll link this Gordon Chang article. It's very enlightening. But be very, very, very wary of what's going on in China. I'll throw the other one. You hear all these stories about anti-Asian hate crime in the United States. It's up like 700% or whatever it would be. There's a lot of times in the way our world works at this point that hate crime is just a flat out hate crime. Don't get me wrong. Okay. There's plenty of it. White on black, black on white, black on Asian, black on Hispanic, whatever would be. I mean, there's a lot of it just because you look different. There's also a lot of it that's labeled as a hate crime that's because of the way people are treated. And if it happens over and over and over again, people eventually get pissed. Okay. Now, most of us with common sense will say, okay, if I don't like the way that particular person is treating me, I'm not going to associate with that particular person. If they're a shop owner and every time I go in there, I get treated like shit, I don't go to that shop anymore. Okay? Not everybody's like that. Some people go a little further. But be wary of what's going on in China, because they're playing the long game. And if anything does happen in Taiwan, which let the Olympics end and we'll see what happens. That's what all of a sudden then the talk will get ramped up on Taiwan again. Notice how that's been quiet for the last couple of weeks. There's been nothing talked about in Taiwan. Why? China's trying to look like, hi, we're nice, peaceful people. Bullshit. Okay. That ain't true. Not by a long shot. So wanted to start with that today just to give you an idea. Don't take your eye off the ball. This is Russia. This is China. Okay. Pay attention there. I'll be back probably in a couple hours once the sun comes up so I can show you what I'm doing with the outside video, and we'll get that one going then. So, till later. Pinball out.